18.2 Lymph tissue fluid. As the blood passes through the capillaries in tissues, some water along with many small water soluble substances move out into the spaces between the cells of tissues, leaving the large protein and most of the formed element in the blood vessels. This fluid released out is called the interstitial fluid or tissue fluid. It has the same mineral distribution as that in plasma. Exchange of nutrients, gases, etc. between the blood and the cells always occur through this fluid. An elaborate network of vessels called the lymphatic system collect this fluid and drain it back to the major veins. The fluid present in the lymphatic system is called the lymph. Lymph is a colorless fluid containing specialized lymphocytes which are responsible for the immune responses of the body. Lymph is also an important carrier for nutrients, hormones, etc. Fats are absorbed through lymph in the lacteals present in the intestinal villi. 18.3 Circulatory pathways. The circulatory pattern are of two types, open and closed. Open circulatory system is present in arthropods and mollusks, in which blood pumped by the heart passes through large vessels into open spaces or body cavities called sinuses. Annelids and chordates have a closed circulatory system in which the blood pumped by the heart is always circulated through a closed network of blood vessels. This pattern is considered to be more advantageous as the flow of fluid can be more precisely regulated. All vertebrates possess a muscular chambered heart. Fishes have a two-chambered heart with an atrium and a ventricle. Amphibians and the reptiles, except crocodiles, have a three-chambered heart with two atria and a ventricle, whereas crocodiles, birds, and mammals possess a four-chambered heart with two atria and two ventricles. In fishes, the heart pumps out deoxygenated blood, which is oxygenated by the gills and supplied to the body parts, from where deoxygenated blood is returned to the heart. Single circulation. In amphibians and reptiles, the left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the gills, lungs, skin, and the right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood from other body parts. However, they get mixed up in the single ventricle, which pumped out mixed blood. Incomplete double circulation. In birds and mammals, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood received by the left and right atria, respectively, passes on to the ventricle of the same size. The ventricle pumps it out without any mixing up. That is, two separate circulatory pathways are present in these organisms. Hence, these animals have double circulation. Let us study the human circulatory system. 18.3.1 Human circulatory system. Human circulatory system, also called the blood vascular system, consists of a muscular chambered heart, a network of closed branching blood vessels, and blood, the fluid which is circulated. Heart, the mesodermally derived organ, is situated in the thoracic cavity, in between the two lungs, slightly tilted to the left. It has the size of a clenched fist. It is protected by a double-walled membranous bag, pericardium, enclosing the pericardial fluid. Our heart has four chambers, two relatively smaller upper chambers called atria and two larger lower chambers called ventricle. A thin muscular wall called the interatrial septum separates the right and the left atria, whereas a thick-walled, the interventricular septum separates the left and the right ventricle. Figure 18.2. The atrium and the ventricle of the same side are also separated by a thick fibrous tissue called the atrioventricular septum. However, each of these septa are provided with an opening through which the two chambers of the same side are connected. The opening between the right atrium and the right ventricle is by a valve formed of three muscular flaps or cusps, the tricuspid valve, whereas a bicuspid or mitral valve guard the opening between the left atrium and left ventricle. The openings of the right and the left ventricle into the pulmonary artery and the aorta, respectively, are provided with the semilunar valve. The valves in the heart allow the flow of blood only in one direction, that is, from atria to ventricle and from ventricle to the pulmonary artery or aorta. These valves prevent the backward flow. The entire heart is made of cardiac muscles. The walls of ventricle are much thicker than that of the atria. A specialized cardiac musculature called the nodal tissue is also distributed in the heart. Figure 18.2. A patch of this tissue is present in the right upper corner of the right atrium called the sinoatrial node (SAN). Another mass of this tissue is seen in the lower left corner of the right atrium close to the atrial septum called the atrioventricular node (AVN). A bundle of nodal fibers, atrioventricular bundle (AV bundle), continues from the AVN, which passes through the atrioventricular septa to emerge on the top of the interventricular septum and immediately divide into a left and right bundle. These branches give rise to minute fibers throughout the ventricular musculature of the respective sides and are called Purkinje fibers. The nodal musculature has the ability to generate action potential without any external stimuli, that is, it is auto-excitable. However, the number of action potentials that could be generated in a minute vary at different parts of the nodal system. The SAN can generate the maximum number of action potentials, that is 70 to 75 per minute, and is responsible for initiating and maintaining the rhythmic contractile activity of the heart. Therefore, it is called the pacemaker. Our heart normally beats 70 to 75 times in a minute, averages 72 beats per minute.